Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our ongoing continuing series of the Fangoria Volume 1 series. I'd like to thank everyone who took the time to to check out the videos and those who also commented too. It's always fun to for people to reminisce of their own remembrances of Fangoria. So let's get right into it. So we talked about this in the previous episodes, how they changed the film strip. I think it was issue number 21, and then they switched it back, and I guess they're trying again. So maybe they're trying every other to try a different look to it. I prefer the classic film strip on the left, but to each his own. But anyway, let's get right into it. So we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, last horror film. We got The Evil Dead, Can They Be Stopped? And then the film strip, we have who really directed Poltergeist? Tobe Hooper. Tobe Hooper's answer. So we talked about that, sort of like a running joke, that Spielberg had a little bit more than a little bit of influence in the making of it. So we'll find out there a little bit. Halloween 3 effects and the dreaded Incubus. So let's get right into this. So more advertising of the mask, the Halloween 3. Big push for Halloween 3 for sure at that time. The contents here. Now, interesting to note here, I noticed this, and this says that this is issue number 3, volume 3. So I call it volume 1 because that's how it's always been known as. It was basically one big volume for the entire run of 344 issues. Now, this is a little bit different because I guess issue 3, so it's year 3. So maybe they started doing it in the sense that this is year 3, so it'd be issue number 3. So each year would have its own issue, and then this is the third issue of the third year, which is volume 3. So each year would be a volume, and then issues. So there's 8 times a year, so there would be 8 issues per year for each volume. I don't know if they stuck with that, because I noticed that in the previous, I didn't mention it, but in the previous issues articles. In the previous issues, they made some mistakes, and they were saying issue number 113 or something like that for, let's say, issue 13. I don't know if it was a typo or what they were referring to there, so it's kind of strange, but I've always known it as volume 1. And even with the new release from 2017 or 18, when they released it's known as volume 2 up to the present, the current Fangoria. So kind of strange what they did here. I kind of understand what they're doing. They put volume each year, I guess. They started doing that, and then they abandoned it. I'm not sure, but that's kind of interesting. I just came across. I thought I'd mention it. I just thought it was interesting. So our usual editor's notes. So we see a lot more of David Everett. I guess he's splitting duties with Bob there in terms of doing a little write-up initially. Ooh, so kind of, let's see what the postal zone says here. I bought your magazine ever since it came out. I love it. Kids at school think I'm weird because I don't get magazines like Young Miss and Teen. Those magazines make me sick. I collect movie posters, almost have 100. I'm trying to find posters from any Herschel Gordon Lewis movies, but no luck so far. What's the response? Posters from Lewis are extremely rare items, commanding huge sums from the Lewis collectors who have been fortunate enough to find one for sale. That's interesting. Hard back then. Imagine now trying to. Although now you get reprints and things like that, they're probably obviously maybe the means to print them wasn't as easy as it is now. But yeah, certainly then. That's interesting. TCM defense. I'm sure the Fangorians have already protested the derogatory remarks about Tobe Hooper's car classic film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, so this dude in the previous issue was dumping on TCM. We sort of read a little bit of it, so I guess there was a little bit of a backlash because of that, which is kind of interesting, eh? So let's see. I'm deeply depressed about your choice for cover on issue 19. How could you even mention what is probably the worst film this summer? That's right, Poltergeist. In one word for it, dull. Wow, that's pretty. I guess this guy didn't like that. And then I guess he talks about who was the director. And then the response was interesting speculation, but that's not the way Hooper sees it. So So obviously Hooper's defending the fact that he directed the film, although I guess it was a big, even today, it's a big discussion of who actually directed it. I'm sure Toby Hooper did, but obviously, I'm sure he had consultations with Spielberg for sure. For sure, obviously as producer, he would be involved for sure. Going on, some of these are pretty long. Some more wrestling stuff. So we'll go into the main feature article. The effects of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Very cool. Big push on this. This has been a lot of issues so far. Dawn Post Gorilla. The last horror film. Discuss the latest Caroline Munro vehicle and the controversy it has spawned. Huh, very interesting. With Joe Spinell too, as well. Right there. Everything is beautiful in its own way. Very true. Yeah. There we go. Some behind the scenes pictures here. Evil Dead. Stephen King calls it the most ferociously original movie of 1982. Classic movie poster cover there, as we'll see there. Artwork, rather. Yeah, very cool. Toby Hooper on Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist. Yeah, so I guess he gives his response here. Not going to get into it, obviously, but we're just overviewing, very not getting in depth in the articles. But this would be a good read to see what his thoughts are. But for sure, based on what we read previously, yeah, he's definitely defending his position that he directed the film, and rightly so. Anyone would. Texas Chainsaw Hitchhiker. About the making of Toby Hooper's transcending slaughter epic. Very cool. Yeah, one of the members of the family, Neil. Record shelf there. The boutique. Seen those quite a few times. Pen in the Pen of Alex Gordon. Yeah. Fango Library Part 2. So this is pretty cool too that they're looking at these books. Scream Queens. Heroines in the Horrors. These books are probably, like I said last time, probably tough to find, tough to get for sure. Probably silly expensive for sure. Who's Who? The Horrors and Other Fantasy Films. Interesting. Seymour. Look at the late great horror host from LA in Part 3. So that's pretty cool that they're covering horror hosts. Very neat. Little Shop of Horrors. Look at the backstage musical versions of the Corman's classic monster spoof. Pretty neat. Some images from the production here. Photo guidebook from Starlog, advertising. Dr. Cyclops Extra. Very neat. Curtis Harrington, a talk with the cult director and the Queen of Blood, and what's the matter with Helen? Yeah, interview there. John Huff and the Incubus, feature article there. Monster Invasion. Dario Argento was in New York briefly, shooting scenes from his next terror film, Tenebrae. Look at that. Very cool. Firestarter off. Christine On has canceled his plans to launch an adaptation of Stephen King's recent novel Firestarter, although it did end up being made. Interesting. And of course, Carpenter with Christine. Classic. Love that movie as well. And some books here, comics, that's usual. The Video Eye of Dr. Cyclops. So he's covering some films here. Prowler, yeah. Classified ads, as usual. And Starlog, Star Wars classic. Things to come. We'll be back your way for the year-end holiday season, bringing with us a Christmas time feast of strangeness. Very neat. Q, Winged Serpent. Forbidden World, yeah. E.T. mask, that'd be cool to have, eh? $49.95, wow. and The Unholy Nine. So we saw this last time. Basically, all these movies on VHS and beta at those prices. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for number 23, episode 23, with the alternate cover, Fangoria covers. So join us, subscribe and like, and feel free to drop any comments, just to reminisce on your history with Fangoria. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.